Happy Monday, everybody! I hope you're doing super well. Hope you're having a wonderful start to the week. And apologies for the missing of Friday's episode. Things were very, very busy. But I hope you enjoyed today's because we have a very exciting discussion taking place, a very exciting interview taking place, because I'm going to be speaking today with independent journalist Sydney Jones. Now, she is a real inspiration to me. She is the owner of The Grey Zone, which was formerly known as Citizen Sid. She is also the co-founder of a brand new, Barely Legal podcast. It is called the Barely Legal Podcast. And her partner and colleague, James, is the founder of Students Against Tyranny. So she and James do a lot of work for truth. We discuss all sorts from the journalistic work she has done, reporting on drag show story hours, on immigration, on gender ideology in schools. We discuss some of her views on the current culture war, on the young generation, how we are standing up peacefully. We discuss so many important topics, and Sydney really does cover and work on the stuff that matters from the voice of the very refreshing, very significant voice of a youngster in today's society. A lot of our views align. It's a very interesting discussion in the fight for true independent media. So she's a real inspiration to me. I hope you enjoyed the discussion, and please do support her on all her social medias, all that good stuff. You can find her with the names I just provided. I hope you enjoy, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, hey Sydney, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So I wanted to start with, can you just let everybody know, can we just discuss briefly who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
Right, so I am Sydney. I was originally of the channel Citizen Sid. I changed it recently to the grey area. I started during the lockdown protests in COVID, and I've basically just sort of, obviously that scene sort of dissolved a little bit, so now I've moved on to trans ideology inside schools, drag queen story hour, immigration, basically everything. I do it because I believe that, well, originally I started because I was actually getting bullied in school, and I wanted to show people what was happening away from the mainstream, because obviously the mainstream wouldn't report on the lockdown protests, or if they did, it would be under the numbers. It wouldn't be correct at all.
Yeah.
So now that, I'm 2-3 years on from that now, and I've just continued doing it. I absolutely loved it. I love that I'm giving people who possibly can't have a voice. I love that I am showing people worldwide what's happening in the UK. So, yeah.
Do you think you speak for I've heard a lot, a silent majority? Would you say that?
Yes.
Definitely. Okay, so what is it kind of technically that you do? I know you have a podcast, you have the grey area. Can we get a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so mostly I do streaming. So I'll go to events and protests, and I'll just live stream it. Then I'll also have I'll have my normal camera, and then I'll have my live stream. I take footage from the normal camera, I'll edit it together, upload the video. Or we've got the new podcast, the Barely Legal Podcast, which is still coming up. But me and James from Students Against Tyranny, it's both of us, and we're also going to have other young people doing their own little podcast at the side of it. We're just going to do a podcast once every month, like me and James. Then the people that want to do a podcast as well, they can do a podcast whenever they choose.
Sounds amazing. And I guess with that, you're hoping to discuss similar things. Would you put yourself in a box? Would you say you are conservative leaning, right wing leaning, politically? Would you say you just report on the truth? How would you kind of define yourself? Do you define yourself?
I don't particularly define myself because, for some things that I believe in, it might be considered a left-wing argument or a right-wing argument, because there's not really a spectrum anymore. You can't be central. You can't be a little bit left or a little bit right. You have to be either extreme or extreme, and that's how politically everyone's defined. So I don't really define myself. I just say, look, I believe this, I believe this, I believe that. whatever you want to label me, and that's that.
Interesting. Perfect. Okay, well, let's talk about the work you have actually done then, because I was going to just talk about your beliefs a bit, but then I thought, no, we'll actually talk about what you've done out there in the world, because it's just so brave, 100%.
Thank you.
You and James from Students Against Tyranny, who you referenced there, you've been reporting recently on the Park Hotel. So I have some worldwide viewers. I think like 50% of my viewers, when I was looking at analytics, are from the US. So I have to kind of specify. It's in Norfolk, the Park Hotel in Dis, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. And you've been reporting on that with James. So what's been going on there, and why has that been so controversial?
So last month, migrants or asylum seekers have been moved into the Park Hotel in Dis, and me and James were going to do a report on that, because in Norfolk there's around 6 hotels that are 4-star, 3-star, that all of the migrants are going to move in. Most famously probably is the Best Western in Bothorpe, and the Park Hotel is another string of the Best Western. So me and James went down and went to just do a piece in front of the camera at the hotel. I think I put that she's the manager. We think she actually works for the Home Office, because she initially said went to go to say Brook Hotel, because she tried to call the police on us because she was saying that you can't film private property from public, which you can. So yeah, it was quite entertaining, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, we went the week afterwards, interviewed locals and how they felt about the migrants being there. A lot of locals didn't even know that it was turned into a migrant hotel. And the others that we asked, they didn't want them there. Like, no one that we asked wanted them there at all.
Yeah.
So we've just been reporting on that a little bit. We've now got a research video that we are now scripting and editing, just to show what we found at the from Cromwood Housing, which is the company that have put the migrants into the Park Hotel.
Okay, interesting. And I feel like you've received some hate from that. So whenever anybody discusses the migrant crisis, well, first of all, do you think there's a migrant crisis?
Absolutely. I mean, you're having thousands of migrants wasn't it? I've forgotten the figures. But it's supposed to be like 120,000 migrants within the past 3 years or something by the end of this year. I mean, when we're already saying we're overpopulated, which is controversial and it's a massive opinion, and we're supposed to be turning these people back. We're supposed to be sending them to Rwanda or turning it back to where they came from. That hasn't happened yet, and it's not even close to happening.
So have you been called xenophobic, racist? Have you had any of those labels?
Racist, fascist, Nazi. Not xenophobic yet. That's still yet to come out.
Interesting. And it's interesting. Obviously, we spoke a minute ago about the silent majority. And you said that everybody you spoke to in the area near this hotel all kind of agreed with you, or all kind of didn't want them there. And it is this, do you think the reason they are literally silent is because of these labels, is because of this kind of tribal attitude that you will be put in a camp of racist, you'll be put in a camp of this, or a category of that, if you don't agree with the mainstream narrative?
Absolutely. I think people are scared for what their friends will think if they speak out about something, because I know everyone, I think, in this sort of community has lost people that they were close to. So I can understand the fear of losing people. But at the end of the day, the word racist, the term Nazi, the term fascist, they've all been used so much that it's like it takes away from any victims of people who have actually been under a fascist regime or have been under the Nazis or anything like that. And it also, it just makes it such a minuscule word. It doesn't mean anything anymore. If you think climate change doesn't exist, then you're racist. You're transphobic. All of that links, and it really doesn't. So people can believe one thing and not believe the other. But when you speak out about one thing, you're paired to believe everything.
Yeah.
So I think it is very much fear.
Fear. Yeah, 100%. I think, tell me if you disagree with me, but I call it, I've kind of coined this phrase, but I think there's been lots of others who have used this too. I call it a leftist cult, because when you look at what a cult is, you see that they are people who must accept ideologies. You can't, there's no space for free discourse. If you look at some people who you might say are on the more right end of the spectrum, if you even want to think that way, then often they will disagree on things. You know, you can't look at them and think, I know what they're going to think. But then if you look at this kind of cult, as I call it, you know that they have to accept pronouns, they have to accept the climate, they have to accept immigration, they have to accept all of this. It's like a list of beliefs. And if you don't accept it, if you're a gay man who might be, I don't know, against pride, they kind of out you.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Well, there's something else you've done. There's something else you've done a lot of reporting on and attended, which is the protests at the Honor Oak pub in London. So what are they all about?
So the whole thing of that is that there is a drag queen called That Girl Drag who doesn't do it anymore. I don't think. It's sort of rumoured that it's going to continue, but we'll see. That will go and do Drag Queen Story Hour. And for people who don't know, Drag Queen Story Hour is where a drag queen will go into a library or a pub, direct their audience as children, like as young as a couple months old, perhaps, to like usually around 5 to 8 years old, talk to them about acceptance, LGBT, diversity, anything sort of LGBT and race themed. And there have been protests against that, and therefore anti-fascist counter-protesting for the Drag Queen Story Hour. And that's happened for quite a few months.
Okay. Do you think it's coming to a close then? You said there are potentially rumours that it will continue.
Well, according to, I think it was the Daily Mail and also Turning Point, the people who have been sort of running these protests, apparently it has officially stopped. So I think it's the Honor Oak has come under new management, and it's costing the police too much. There's a Barber's that is just opposite the not the Park Hotel, sorry, the Honor Oak pub, and it's costing businesses so much money and the police. I think it's sort of, they had to shut down.
Yeah.
But it is said that on the website, it's still saying that there's going to be a Drag Queen Story Hour. But I think that might just be, it's not edited yet. It's not been arranged or rearranged.
Yeah. So as a wider issue with kind of, you reference trans ideology, Drag Queen Story Hour, all of this, what do you think is, number one, the issue with it? What's the issue with discussing pronouns with children? What's the issue with being a drag queen and, you know, reading stories? What is your problem with this? And number two, what do you think the goal is? Why are they so obsessed with pushing it?
Well, I think that it's an issue because, you know, for the number one, drag queens are typically promiscuous with drag acts. They're often 18 plus. They dress promiscuously. They dance promiscuously. And I think even if they dress appropriately in front of kids, it's not something to bring into a kid scene, a young scene. Like if they were to talk about equality and acceptance and bullying, then you could have a Down syndrome person talk to kids, and that could be like Down syndrome story hour, because they are, you know, discriminated, made fun of on a wide lens. So it could be something like that. And also drag queens, I'm pretty sure were first started to for gay men to criticize women because it, you know, strippers and everything like that.
Yeah.
I also think that teaching kids pronouns and LGBT firstly confuses them. I mean, I know in my school, I left school with most of my fellow pupils not knowing their 6 times tables. And it was embarrassing. And I think also it's just, you know, kids need to live. They don't need to worry about sexuality. They shouldn't be having relationships. They shouldn't be thinking about kissing or inappropriate touching, which is what some schools are teaching kids, like kids as young as 9, being taught about anal sex, oral sex. And if you're taught about it and know about it at a young age, you're going to want to become sexually active as a young age.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be very detrimental. I mean, there's people who have long-lasting effects from young childbirth.
Yeah.
And if you become sexually active at a young age, that's more likely to happen, especially if you're thinking about it all of the time. If you experiment, it's going to be more occurring. What was the second?
I was wondering, why do you think they're doing it? They're pushing it. When I say they're, I mean kind of the powers that be that are promoting this.
I believe that, I'm going to think about this really quickly. I think that they want to confuse the kids. They want to become, because, we have all of this hate speech, online harms bill. So if more people are following into that, and if more people's, like, if you're teaching it, you like your best friend who's a girl and you're a girl, you might be lesbians. If more little children are, focused on, I might be a lesbian, or I might be gay, I might be trans, I might be non-binary, it's going to fit more into the hate speech category. And then it's, we've got the online harms bill that's protecting children and adults from terrorism, and was under the guise that it was paedophilia, it was being helpful to as well, or helpful against. I think that it will also make it to be your child is experiencing hate speech because it's part of the LGBT community, and it's a very young kid, as young as 5 years old for some reason, who has social media. So
yeah, it's interesting. I guess the question is, why does it always have to be sexual? I mean, you've literally just touched on their equality, diversity. If you want to talk about diversity, bring in somebody with issues, bring in a Down syndrome individual, those pointers. Why does it always have to be sexual? I think, and you can disagree with me, that a lot of it leads to, I think it's about confusion as well, but because of the breakdown of the family, which might sound like a far right argument, but it's very, when you break down the family, you make people dependent on the state, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, I think a lot of, or a few cases where parents haven't accepted their trans daughter or son, no matter how old they are, the son or daughter actually gets taken away from the parent because of child services protection. So yeah, another good point.
Yeah, I was interviewing a lady who wrote a book about trans ideology. She's in California, and she was discussing that kids are being taken away. So it's not a myth, but they'll claim it's a myth. So yeah, really important. You met Lawrence Fox, I think, at the latest Honor Oak protest. So let's talk about Lawrence Fox briefly.
Yeah.
Was he nice, or was he a fascist?
He's lovely. From what I experienced anyway, he's lovely. He was clearly nervous, but that's going to come after the TV news stuff that's just come out. So I don't blame him for being nervous. But yeah, he's lovely.
Yeah, well, in regard to Lawrence Fox, we have rampant crime around London, and we can all kind of try and pinpoint issues. We can try and pinpoint reasons behind that. But when you have, I don't know if you've seen, 6 officers raiding a man's home over a ULEZ camera, we have to ask what is going on with the police force, because we have other officers to kind of link our topics together who will be at drag shows, they will be at pride marches. And what are your thoughts on this, on the police force? Because I just think it's dangerous, because when it comes to illegal immigration, you are seeing potentially these illegal immigrants coming in, and they're seeing a police force that is so weak and that is so, that there's no fear there. We used to fear the police. We used to think they were there to protect. And now some of them are, of course, but some of them are at pride marches, and 6 officers to raid a man's home over ULEZ. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the police seem to be very selective of what they charge and what they look into. So there was an incident in Bothorpe at the Migrant Hotel. One of the people, they were biking, either early morning or late at night, I'm not sure, but she was stopped by an immigrant who was from the Park Hotel, and he had condoms, and he was saying, look, sex, just sex quickly. She was trying to get away, he wouldn't let her. She called the police, and he left, and the police basically called her crazy for it and just said she was overthinking it. It was her fault. They are very selective on what they're reporting on. Something so minuscule. Like, for example, did you see the autistic girl who called a police officer or said that a police officer looked like a lesbian? And the police officer got really irate about it. It's not as if it was an insult or anything. It's just a passing comment. You have stereotypes. People sometimes live up to them. And that's what that kid was sort of pointing at. It was not offensive, but, you know, nowadays you can't say really anything so long as it is not woke. If it's woke, you're totally fine with it. You can say anything. But yeah, or if you're against ULEZ cameras, you have, like you said, 6 officers turn up at your house and raid you and arrest you.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And these woke kind of policies, I'm going to briefly mention Sadiq Khan. I could kind of take a wild guess at your opinion on him. But these kind of woke policies that are put in place when you have people, you know, mayors of London that aren't focusing on knife crime, that aren't focusing on these issues, and that are more focused on like painting pavements rainbow and all of this. It kind of, people say it doesn't matter, why are you so worried about woke and all of this, it's just an opinion. But it does kind of become a pattern, and it does kind of go down the levels, and now suddenly we have a military, we have a police force, we have all of these things that are kind of becoming invested with not doing their jobs to some extent.
Yeah,
or like
definitely.
you said, being selective, which is always quite a worrying thing. So one of the last things I want to speak to you about, quite a personal thing, is education system.
Brilliant.
We love it. So obviously you're 18, am I correct?
I'm 18 in 2 weeks.
Okay, 18 too. So we are like a very similar age. I'm 17. So I've definitely had my experiences doing this, actually doing the work I do and being in education. What have you found to be your experiences with that?
So for primary school, I was actually quite unlucky. I don't know what happened with my year of education, but they decided to put all the autistic kids in with I don't want to say normal kids because I have nothing against autistic, but you know what I mean. And one of the people were severely autistic. He would run out of the class, try and jump the gates at school. So oftentimes my class didn't have a teacher in the class at all, or maybe we had a substitute teacher who didn't know what they were doing at all. So that was my basically from year 2 up until year 6 of primary school. Really terrible education, but I still survived through that. I was actually one of the top students. When I got into secondary school, it was all right for a couple years until everyone started maturing, and actually no one matured at all. It seemed it was more bullying. If you don't fit with my beliefs, then you're not in my circle. If you're not pretty, you're not in my circle, etc. Everything like that. If you asked too many questions in school, you would be in detention for disrupting the class. Even if they were good questions as well, if you're constantly putting your hand up to ask a question, chances are, if you were one of the students that the teacher didn't like, you would get a detention because you were disrupting the class. So after I started getting bullied, it was very severe for about a year, but I ended up getting homeschooled. And that's been a lot better for me, so long as I actually did the work. But obviously, a lot of education was already halted from lockdown anyway. A lot of people, you know, it's sort of, you know, our own fault that we didn't do the work that we were told to do. But in all fairness, some people work better auditory, some people work better just reading, some people work better both. Personally, I work better with both of that together. And a lot of kids didn't do their work. And I think if lockdowns didn't happen, of course, it would have been a lot better. But now that I'm out of homeschooling, even because I'm going to turn 18 soon, I'm still studying. So I'm studying politics and psychology, just getting free courses online. and that's actually probably better than school because it's you can control your mental health better, and you don't have people and students trying to hold you back all the time.
Mm-hmm. So how did you find, based on what you're doing, were you doing similar work while you were still at school, or has
Yeah.
this been anything? Okay. Did you get any hate for that?
Yes. So I would come back from protests. So I'd post what I was doing on Instagram.
Yeah.
I didn't really care too much. And then I'd go back to school, or people would say, don't come back to school. You're going to spread COVID. You're such a super spreader. And they just start stuff like that, which was affecting me at the time. But now looking back, I'm like, why was I affected by that? That was so stupid.
Yeah, but like we were younger and we were so impressionable, and
Yeah,
we got
vulnerable.
told all of this. Vulnerable, definitely, which kind of sums up everything we discussed when
Yeah.
it's being pushed on vulnerable populations and individuals. So did you face any indoctrination as well? Kind of my final question about education, because I always think that if you leave, if anyone leaves education and they're not like a raging communist feminist, then you're really lucky or really strong-willed.
Well, other than, you have to go left, like all of the COVID rules and everything, which I played
Yeah.
for because, you had to wear a sunflower lanyard, and only 2 people did that. I didn't want to be signaled out, so I didn't. I wore a mask in school. Other than that, I was actually lucky because I was probably 1 or 2 years off of the extreme indoctrination with LGBT diversity and everything like that. Though, in lockdown, a lesbian head teacher was put in, and she actually changed all but one, I think, of the toilets to be gender neutral. Now, a lot of people that I know actually struggled to go to the bathroom and use the toilet afterwards. They had to use the disabled ones because they physically couldn't go because they were scared that something was going to happen with one of the boys. Because we all knew what the boys in our year were like. Some of them I had heard had like sexual assault allegations, but I also know how much my year liked to make those up. I was friends with someone who made one of those rumors up, and she even admitted it was a lie. But a lot of women and a lot of men, actually, they were afraid to use the bathrooms because of the gender neutral. So thankfully, other than that, I didn't suffer too much indoctrination because lockdown happened.
Yeah.
I escaped it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can't kind of comment too much because I'm still in it, and yeah, but I've had like final warnings because I said something about BLM and all of this. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. I can't believe with the gender neutral though. I thought this was kind of more of a US thing and that we were a tad more a tad better, but maybe not.
Clearly not.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing students kind of just walking out of schools in Philadelphia because of such policies. So do you think that might come here? Do you think people are going to start to stand up?
Unfortunately, I would love to say yes, but I've seen how people our age are. I've seen how they deal with things, and I've seen how many people our age are at anti-fascist demos. And unfortunately, it's not looking good for, fighting back against the system. It's more like, bring these things in. We'd love to welcome these. And those people, you can just censor them. It's fine. Just listen to us. Bring them in.
Yeah, it is crazy, our generation, I think, which is why I wanted to talk to you and have the discussion of people who are kind of like-minded in the same generation, because it's really refreshing. So thank you.
Of course.
Wonderful. Was there anything else you wanted to mention? Where can people find you and your work?
So on basically everything, I am the grey area. So Telegram, YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, TikTok, and Instagram. And then on Twitter, I am. It's a really stupid name. If you've just put in Sydney Jones, then put like LGBT as a keyword, then it should come up, because the name I need to change the name, but I have so many cards that I've already made to hand out before I do that. So just waiting for that.
Cool. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully this has been refreshing for people watching as well. And yeah, I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.